Hola guys and girls and welcome to the draft analysis for GBA Season 9, the Uber season. And yeah, for all which don't follow the Twitter or the fan Discord, you're probably asking, what didn't you like just a month or 2 months ago upload the draft analysis for GBA Season 9? And yes, that was for LGPE, and that sadly got discontinued. That got scrapped. This season got cancelled, and we are starting fresh with this. There are various reasons for this. I would have loved to continue that mainly because I agree that obviously the LGPE meta is not as exciting as the other ones. There's not that much strategic decisions you can do, and the battling is awkward and all this good stuff. But I hate having unfinished projects. I hate just, if you commit to something, you have to do it till the end. And that's just me personally. That's why I was one of the few which want to continue, just to at least finish it and then start the new season. But yeah, majority vote. So here we are with the new season. And yeah, we are back in Ultra Sun and Moon. And we decided to at least switch it up a bit, because the coaches were still pretty tired of the Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon meta. That was the main reason we switched for Season 9 to something else. And so we decided to switch it up a bit, and we decided to do an Uber season with basically where you have we draft like usual. You have your tiers. Tier 1 and Tier 2 basically got merged together and are now the Tier 3. Same with Tier 3 and Tier 4 are now Tier 4. And then Tier 5 is your Tier 5. Some mons switched places, but that's in general how you can see it. Tier 1 and Tier 2 are now Tier 3. Tier 3 and Tier 4 are now Tier 3. And the old Tier 5 is still old Tier 5. And the new Tier 1 and Tier 2 are Uber Pokemon. So everyone can basically draft 2 Ubers. And yeah, and then just do our usual thing. Now, this is in general the draft rules, standard GBA format, like 1 from Tier 1, 1 from Tier 2, 2 from Tier 3, 1 from Tier 5, and 1 from Tier 4. And then 4 free picks with a few points. But I'm sure there will be a fan doc uploaded where you can see the tiers and the points and all the shenanigans. But either way, going into the actual draft, I ended up being 14th out of 16 coaches. So pretty late in the draft. I like getting close to the wheel, but this made my decision which strategy I want to go into this draft pretty easy. Because, as you might know from other drafts, I usually draft my Mega very late, and that's because I feel like every Mega is good. Like there are very few bad Megas. Like every Mega is a good Mega. And if you basically wait with your Mega till very late, you still can get a good Mega, since all of them are good. But you can focus in the earlier rounds on getting the best value out of other tiers, like be it Tier 1, Tier 2, or anything like that. Since I'm so late in the draft, I kind of took this mentality again and said, okay, all Ubers are basically good. They're pretty good. They're pretty insane in comparison to the other mons. So I don't have to jump onto the Ubers right away. I'm late either way, so the top tier Megas, I'm not gonna get them either way. Like, if for some miracle Marshadow or Yveltal would have fallen to the 14th position, I would have changed my opinion again and drafted one of those, but those did go very early. So I did go into this draft saying, okay, I just let the others pick all the top tier Megas, like the best Megas they want. I'm just gonna focus on getting the best value out of the lower tiers, or in this case, the Tier 3 and below. And then draft my Ubers very late. That is the helps for one. You get the best value out of the lower tiers, which already helps. And you actually, since usually everyone drafts the Ubers very quickly because it's like the new toy to play around with. Everyone wants to have one. That makes that you can basically know very early in draft. Like, for example, in this, I think at round 5, I already knew which Tier 1 Uber I wanted, and there was no one who could snipe me. And I could just safely draft around and get other mons which fit with that, and then the last round get my Uber without having to worry that I get sniped and stuff like that. So these are like basically the 2 plus sides of it going like this. Of course, you do miss out on the top 1% mons, but since I was at the 14th position, I was missing out on those either way. So I think I did pretty well here with that decision. But yeah, that's just overall draft strategy that will make, once you see my picks, it will make a lot of more sense why I think it worked out and why I think this draft is actually pretty strong. And yeah, let's just hop right in with our first pick. And the first pick I wanted was something, like I said, in Tier 3 or the old Tier 1, if that makes sense. And that is Kyurem Black. We are getting Kyurem Black as our first pick. And my thing here is lagging, goddammit. Let's see, there we go, Kyurem Black. On screen for you it should show right away since I've added that, but here it lagged a bit. But yeah, Kyurem Black, you already know I had that last GBA season. I am a big fan of Kyurem Black. It's basically one of the tier 1 mons, which is borderline to Ubers. Like some leagues used to ban Kyurem Black and some leagues it's still banned. That's why I think this is one of the top tier mons in the tier 3. And getting that guaranteed is very nice. You already know I love my bulky dragons, since 125 HP, 100 defense, 90 special defense is nothing to scoff at. It gets roost as well. It's a dragon which is not 4 times weak to ice. Sadly, it has a lot of other weakness to the ice typing in rock and fighting. And other than that, it has a lot of resistances and actually can take a hit before dishing out huge hits to himself, because look at the attacks at 170 attack, 120 special attack. It's sadly on the more middling speed tier side, so barring its Scarf, it's not really a sweeper, it's a breaker. It's a perfect wall breaker because nothing switches really into Kyurem, especially with Terrorwall. All the abilities like be it Thick Fat for the ice beams, be it Levitate for the earth powers. Nothing is stopping Kyurem from doing a lot of damage to your opponent, and yeah, that's my first pick. It is my dragon, so I'm already starting to build my Dragon Fairy Steel Core, which I will actually continue right away with my next pick. So let's go into that right away. So looking at the draft and how the 3 points worked, you most likely were gonna get 3 tier 3s and 4 tier 4s. So getting the best tier 3s and getting the best tier 4s, in my opinion, was very important. That's why Kyurem Black was my first pick there. And then going right back into tier 3, not caring about Ubers, I decided to complement my Fairy Dragon Steel Core with a Steel type, which is not Cobalion this time, it's actually Jirachi. This is the first time I actually do have Jirachi in draft. Usually it always goes like round 1 and round 2, and I want other things in my draft, because Jirachi is not a huge threat in itself. It's a great utility mod. It's similar to Mu in that regard, but with of course less options, but the better typing and the better ability. But it's not like you look at the Jirachi and you're like, God damn, Jirachi, I have nothing for Jirachi, I can't deal with Jirachi. No, that's the thing you see when you see a Kyurem, but not for Jirachi. That's why I usually don't draft it very early, like mons like this. My first few picks are always the big, scary threats. You look at them and you're saying, oh my god, why do I have to face this? And then the picks after that are the mons which complement that. And that's usually the role Jirachi fits in. And that's like, this is actually the first time I was able to draft it. But yeah, talking about Jirachi, you all know what it does. Like, if you saw a bit of draft format, Jirachi gets every time drafted, everyone does its thing. Very nice, can go physic, can go special defensive, can go physic defensive, gets wish, gets beautiful momentum, gets healing wish, gets Starfrogs, pretty good steel type, which sadly gets a bit held down by its secondary psychic typing, to be fair. But it's always nice to have a second stab, but due to speed psychic typing, it has some weaknesses in Dark and Ghost. Mainly the Dark weakness is a bit annoying, but the Steel type gets just a bunch of resistances, and it's great both with base 100 stats overall. Like I said, very diverse mon, which has a lot of utility, can give a lot of utility for a team, and when in doubt, you can always just Scarf it and flinch your opponent to death, so that's a set as well. But yeah, this Jirachi, like I said, I'm building already a very strong Fairy Dragon Steel Core with a strong dragon, strong Steel type. So we get our Fairy next, and we start once again in tier 3, already having my first free pick, expending some points. And the Fairy I decided to get here was Azumarill. I love the Water Fairy typing mons. Be it Azumarill, be it Tapu Fini, be it Primarina, I'm a big fan of all 3 of them, because Water Fairy is such a great typing. Water gets rid of the steel weakness from fairies, which are usually the main checks to the fairies, the steel types. Of course, poison type are there as well, but steel types, every draft has a steel type, but only some have a good poison type. That's why I love this typing a lot, and you already know Azumarill pretty strong as well. The stats are not that overwhelming, but with huge power, the attack stat gets insanely high. Gives me some priority as well with Aquajet, which I didn't have yet, and yeah, some utility as well. With, for example, if you want to run the Sapsipper Trapper variant with Whirlpool, that's a set I used once, I think. I actually don't remember if it worked, but it's always a fun set to bring. Like, usually your opponent always expects a huge power variant, and then you trap something, kill something like that. Huge power variant is most of the times preferred as well, but the surprise factor can be nice. And yeah, Thick Fat is a thing as well, in case you have like something like an ice type or fire type, which is very scary, and you need that 4 times resistance with the water typing itself from Azumarill. But yeah, Huge Power is going to be the main set I'm going to bring in that. Of course, the Belly Drum set is very great as well, so this is my main setup sweeper so far as well. Jirachi gets Coal Mine too, but Azumarill with Belly Drum is of course way more threatening, being having priority in Aquajet and just being way too strong than anything else. But yeah, this is my Fairy. You can see we already have a very nice Fairy Dragon Steel Core, and going further with my tactic, I basically got all my tier 3s. I'm not gonna delve into tier 3 again, because I could, to be fair. But looking at the 3 points and how I want to distribute them, I need to get my tier 4 mons now, or the best tier 4 mons. So I looked at tier 4, and I looked what I still need for my cores. Like, I'm not a big fan of the complete Fire, Water, Grass core. I usually just build a Water, Grass core. With Azumarill, I already have my Water mon, so I looked at the Grass mons in tier 4, and there's of course one which is, you all know it, you all love it, I love it as well, which is probably the best mon, which was down in tier 4. I would have been fine if that would have been in tier 3 as well, but it was in tier 4, and I got myself Tangrowth. I was the first one to delve in tier 4, and that's why I could snag Tangrowth for me. That was already one a lot of people looked at, but yeah, no one probably this early, because usually you want your Ubers and your tier 3s and all this good stuff. But yeah, we snagged Tangrowth, great mon with a generator, insane physical defense, and the special defense with the Assault Desk can be nice as well. Of course, the generator an awesome ability for defensive mons. Great attacks, great special attacks that you can always go mixed and just run a minus speed nature, for example, because the speed with base 50 speed, this thing is not a sweeper. Tangrowth is just a tank. It tanks all the hits. It tanks all the hits actually. Looking at its name, but yeah, you all know Tangrowth. It sponges the ground attacks, which so far I don't have an immunity to, and Jirachi is only weak to, so that's great news as well. Helps with the electric types. Being an Assault Desk user, it's a great check to electric types, barring the ones with fire coverage, because a strong fire move still hurts Tangrowth, but only hidden powers, that's not how you're gonna break a Tangrowth. But yeah, it just doesn't die, and it regenerates back, and it deals some good damage with a good attack set, base 100 and good special attack set, and nice coverage on both sides. As utility move, the knockoff Sleep Powder, Leaf Seed, and all this good stuff, but has some great coverage as well, with Earthquake, Rock Slide, Poison Jab, Sludge Bomb. Hidden powers, it can reliably run with that special attack set if something is 4 times weak to it. But yeah, that's Tangrowth for you. Spatula is back. So far, only Jirachi is a new mon. All the other mons were mons I had already. But yeah, that's Tangrowth for you. Like I said, now I have basically my 2 cores I always like to build. I now already finished with 4 picks, and I still have my Ubers picks left. I love this team already with only these 4 mons, and I still can go into the Ubers tier, which is very exciting. But yeah, now keep looking at tier 4. At this point, I had 2 options of, like, at this point, close to everyone got the tier 1 and tier 2 Uber. And I could see, like, the mons which didn't, which they won't get, because they already have that typing, or it's a very similar mon to what I have already. So basically, I was looking at 2 different sets of Uber mons at this point. And both of these Uber, and the mon I liked more, kind of struggled with dark types. So I wanted to get something which can deal with dark types. Like I said, that's what I meant with, I know now already which Uber I'm most likely gonna get. And this one most likely, it's just very likely not safe yet. And so I can draft around it and still safely get it. So at this point I knew, okay, I need something to deal with dark types, because dark types are gonna be very annoying for that mon I'm looking at. And so I decided to look at tier 4, and I see, okay, dark types, obviously, Fairy I have already. The other thing to deal with dark types are fighting types. And I looked at the fighting types in tier 4, because like I mentioned, you're most likely going to draft 4 tier 4s. So I want to get the best ones already. And I actually looked at Conkeldurr. I forgot Conkeldurr exists for the most time. I was looking at Miancho, I was looking at all this other stuff, but Conkeldurr was actually down tier 4. And this is the first time I got drafted as well, and it's an insanely strong fighting type. It is on the slower side as well. Like, my whole team is on the slower side as well. My fastest mon is base 100. But Conkeldurr is insanely strong. 3 awesome abilities. Guts, Sheer Force, Iron Fist. All of them can be put to use depending on the variant you are. An insane 140 attack stat, great defense and HP, and of course special defense is kind of lacking. But similar to Tangrowth, you put an Assault Desk on that and you're fine as well. And yeah, this thing can usually switch into all kinds of dark attacks. Sponge them and then scare them out, get a Drain Punch off, get a Sheer Force boosted Ice Punch off or something like that. Conkeldurr, it's the first time I have it. On paper it looks great as a fighting type. Usually I get the more faster fighting types, you can like sweep with close combat or high jump kick or something like that. This time I'm getting a more bulky, strong, if that makes sense, slower, bulky fighting type in Conkeldurr, which I'm excited to try out, because Conkeldurr he's usually way too high up in the tiers for me to get. Like most of the times, I think last season he was in tier 2 for the GBA. And fighting types are usually not something you desperately need. Like I said, you want your cores, you want the Fairy Dragon Steel cores, so Fairy Dragon and Steel mons are very high value. Those you usually want to get out of tier 1 or tier 2. Same with your grass and water type sometimes, that makes sense in tier 2 as well. Or just some late great threats. And Conkeldurr kind of always falls under the radar of myself and a lot of other people. Like Conkeldurr, for how strong it is, it gets drafted very little. And yeah, now I actually got the chance to use it because of basically the idea I had with just going for lower tiers first and going for my Uber tiers later and having Conkeldurr there, which is very nice. If Conkeldurr obviously would have been in tier 3, I wouldn't have gotten it because of course I can't afford it now tier 3. I could, but then I would have to get 2 more tier 5s. But yeah, that's Conkeldurr for you. Now, looking at the next mon to get. So at this point, I decided to get my tier 2 Uber because I was looking at a tier 2 Uber which I wanted from the start. Not only because it's a great mon, but for other reasons as well. It will make sense once you see it. But one coach had a tier 2 spot still open and was missing the typing the mon had. So I was scared it will get sniped by him this round. So I decided to go for it this round, but the only other person to miss a tier 1 Uber was Jolt at this point. So, and since I already said I had 2 pairs of tier 1, tier 2 Uber, which I wanted together. And so I basically was talking to Jolt, okay, if I get this mon, what tier 1 Ubers are you looking at? I just asked if he would reveal that, and we talked with each other. And it turns out he was looking at something completely different. So that made my pick here very safe. That means the corresponding tier 1 mon I wanted together with that, I will get safely. And I will get this in the last round. And if you saw the draft sim, you already know what it is. But at this point, I already knew which tier 1 Mega I will getting. And this means I could safely go for this tier 2 Mega and not be scared to be sniped by that. And the tier 2, not Mega, the tier 2 mon I decided to get is none other than Mr. Man. Landorus I is back. He's not nerfed. He has Sheer Force. The Landorus I before without Sheer Force, that's just not the same. That's not the same. You know it. You know it. Everyone asking me why you're not drafting Mr. Man. He's still allowed with Sand Force. And I said every time it's not the same. He's not the same. I had to get him with Sheer Force, and now he was unbanned, and you already knew it was a matter of time till I'm getting him. And yeah, at this point, I'm getting him. The history of me, Mr. Man, goes way back to my first season of the GBA, and then the season after that, where a franchise picked it, and after that, it got banned. So I got to use it for 2 seasons, and then decided to ban it, sadly, and Mr. Man was going back into the ban phase. Later it got back with Sand Force, but like I already mentioned, it's not the same. You have to use it with Sheer Force, otherwise, what are you even doing? Why are you using him? No, that feels wrong. It just feels wrong to not use Landorus out of Sheer Force. And yeah, he's back. Sadly, of course, he has a 4x weakness to Ice, but I already have 2 great resistances in Jirachi and Azumarill to that, and he's just super strong. He has a very trolly speed in 101, so he's faster than all the base 100 speed mons. But with Sheer Force and Life Orb and the 115 special attack set, it's insane. Like you might not have used Lando in standard ladder because he's on Ubers, and in Ubers he's kind of underwhelming in comparison to others. But you all know how strong Nidoqueen and Nidoking are. And now I want you to check those special attack and attack stats, and then compare these to this, and then you get an idea why Landorus I is so strong as it is. Of course, it has a great ground flying typing, the same as the Therian form as well, which gives him, sadly, the 4x weakness to Ice, of course, but a lot of key resistances as well. And yeah, it's a great rock poly sweeper since it doesn't need the boost in Sword Stance, usually Landorus wants. Since it's just that way already way too strong, it can very nicely run mixed movesets as well. Like you already see, the attack stat is actually higher than the special attack stat. So Sheer Force boosted rock slides, knockoffs, U-turn, earthquakes in case I want to run fully physical. It has a lot of options. It's a stealth rock as well. It got defog, so looking at my team, it's actually the first defog I got, and that's something I have to fix in the next few picks when I looked at that. And yeah, that's Landorus I for you. Not much to talk about. Mr. Man is back. We all can be excited to use him. I am very excited to welcome him back, and I'm ready to seed some terror between the coaches once they see Mr. Man back with the Borussia Donphan tricot or shirt on. So next up, like I said, I have only 1 defogger, and I was looking. Oh damn, I only have 1 defogger. I kind of need a defogger, and I was looking at the mons in tier 4 and all this good stuff, which still will go to defog and don't have a typing I already have, and so I decided to get Mandibuzz. That's actually the first time I'm drafting Mandibuzz. Very bulky mon, of course, not that strong, but still gets foul play, utility, and knockoff, and all this good stuff. It's decently fast, actually, with base 80 speed with that bulk. I always like when the defensive mons are fast, because that offers the option for taunt, which Mandibuzz gets, offers the option for some momentum grabbing with U-turn, which is nice. I mean, for that you don't have to be fast, but it helps him having U-turn as well. Has 1 good ability in Overcoat, 1 usable ability in Big Packs, and 1 very trolly ability in Weak Armor. You could bring a Weak Armor variant, like a setup Nasty Plot Mandibuzz, for example. That's more of for the surprise factor. Most of the time, it's gonna be physical defensive, it's gonna be special defensive, it's gonna have defog, it's gonna have roost, and then Knockoff Brave Bird, U-Turn, Taunt, all this good stuff. One of these, or Toxic even. But yeah, main reason I wanted Mandibuzz was for the Defork, and of course the Dark type, which I didn't have yet, so it gives me a nice Psychic Immunity and a nice Dark and Ghost Resist. And yeah, in general, that's Mandibuzz for you. He's bulky, he's gonna Defork. I don't know really what Mandibuzz else is gonna do with my team, but we will find out together. Maybe I can find some nice use other than that with him, like with the, like I mentioned already, Weak Armor Nasty Plot variant or something like that. But yeah, that's Mandibuzz for you. Now, looking at the next few months, like I said, I'm still missing one tier 4 out of my 4 tier 4s I'm gonna get. But I already know which one I wanted, and it's actually a Mega Pokemon. You don't have to draft a Mega this time of the GBA, but everyone either had this typing already, or they already had a Mega. So I could wait for this Mon till the second to last round. Like I said, this is the great, I love when my plans work out like that, where I already this early know what I'm gonna get. My last 2 picks I already know, and I will get them. There's no one who can snipe me. Like theoretically someone could snipe me, but then would like double with a typing, usually go double down with. So yeah, it's very unlikely to get sniped. So at this point I already know my 2 last picks. So that means I can actually focus on tier 5, where I still have to get 2 mons from. And looking at the tier 5 mons, there's one thing I definitely needed, which is a grounded poison type. And another thing which is nice to have, of course, is a fire type. And you already know what's happening, because poison and fire, there's only one mon which was these typings. I'm getting Salazzle, which gives me some speed as well, which is nice. So far my fastest mon was Landorus with 101. And yeah, we get Salazzle out of tier 5, which I think is great value. Corrosion ability is of course fun to poison all these steel types as well, all the poison types. But mainly, it's going to be there to be strong, with strong poison and fire moves. Speed Fire Blast, speed Sludge Wave. Salazzle got it all. He's very fast. He was a big threat versus my team when I faced Joey last time in the GBA, and there I saw like just how much of a problem Salazzle can be for teams. Has a very nice speed in 117, being faster than all the 110s and 115s is great for Salazzle. Of course, it's very weak. Like look at the bulk; it's basically non-existent, so it's gonna die close to everything. But that's why Substitute is there to dodge some priority versus mons when he switch out, and he's just there to click buttons. He's just there to click Fire Blast and Sludge Wave. Absorb the Toxic Spikes, this is why I wanted to ground it Poison type. Sadly, he doesn't get Poison, Toxic Spikes himself. But yeah, that's why I just got Salazzle. Like I said, it's not going to complement my Fire, Water, Grass core, because that would mean that I switch in Salazzle to something to take a hit, like being resistant to something the others is weak to. But even with that, like even with being resistant to something, if you have 68 HP and 60 defense, you're not taking any hit really well. So yeah, it's mainly there to be offensive, definitely not to be like a defensive core member, which I can switch around. But yeah, that's the level for you. Now I have to get another tier 5, and I was looking at my team and I saw that I have 2 Stealth Rocks in Jirachi and Landorus, and that's kind of not enough. I kind of want a bit more than that. I kind of miss a little speed still, like only Salazzle as fast mon, which is a very low tier mon. It's not really great to have that as your main speed mon. I have a rather big speed gap between Landorus and Salazzle. So what I wanted a Rocker and something which is speed-wise between 117 and 101. And one mon, and of course with the typing I don't have already. That's always what you want to aim for. You want to diverse your typings. And yeah, looking at tier 5, there's exactly one mon which fits that description, and that is LYCANROC Dusk. Pure rock type, tough claws boosted, 110 speed, gets rocks, has 117 attack, which is very nice. Not as bulky as well. It has a decent HP stat in 75, but the defense and special defense is just not existent. But it's super strong with tough claws. Tough claws is basically a free life up boost for attacks which have contact, which LYCANROC gets a good amount of, be it Drill Run, be it Accelerock, or moves like that. These are all boosted by Tough Claws or Crunch, I think it gets. Sadly, Stone Edge is not boosted. But still, it gives me a fast rocker. It can be a lead variant as well, like just a Focus Sash, Endeavor, Taunt, Stealth Rock variant in case I want to go more hyper offensive. But yeah, it basically checked all the boxes, being having the speed I wanted, and having the typing I didn't have yet, and having rocks. So that's why I got LYCANROC. It's the first time I have that mon as well. I don't know how much work it will put in. Like I said, this is the Uber season, so a lot of the lower tier mons are even, like, in comparison, even worse, if that makes sense. Like, if there wouldn't be any Ubers, LYCANROC would, of course, be able to put in some work. But if there are Ubers around as well, he's going to be struggle even more to fit on the team in comparison to, like, some Uber mons, like Landorus or something like that. But yeah, if an opponent is weak to rock, I can assure you that LYCANROC Dusk is come to the team, because the priority Accelerock is very nice. This is the signature move of of LYCANROC, which only this gets, and the Sun form. And of course, with being Tough Claws boosted, this one is just way stronger. And yeah, that's LYCANROC Dust for you. I actually sniped a lot of people with that. I was surprised that I sniped, for example, Kyle A with that. He was a big fan of the shiny. I actually like the non-shiny variant more. Like the blue wolf is kind of cool, but I like this golden brown more, to be fair. But yeah, that's LYCANROC Dusk. Now going into my tier 4, which I already mentioned is a Mega. And it's a typing I don't have. It's a typing everyone else already had. So you might have guessed already what it is. But it gives me some more speed as well because it's faster. It's now my fastest mon, which is Mega Manectric. I'm a big fan of Mega Manectric. I was still missing the electric type, which probably some of you already noticed. And electric type is what you always want because Volt Switch is just a great move to do 1 damage and grab momentum in your favor. And I love my electric types which have fire coverage to deal with mons, for example, like Tangrowth. Tangrowth usually would be a good check for like electric types like Raikou, for example. But with Mega Manectric, no sir. Flamethrower and Overheat, even with an Assault Vest, you're not taking the hits. And that goes for every grass type, not only Tangrowth. Of course, ground types are still annoying. That's why I have to run HB Ice and all this good stuff. But there are not that many ground types with reliable recovery, which are like a check to electric types. You have like a Powder, then Gliscor, kind of, depending. Like the 4 times weakness to Ice with Hidden Power Ice can be very annoying, but if you have a weaker electric type, Gliscor can work as well. And what other ground types you have reliable recovery? I think that's all. And they, usually your ground type is then Scarf to be immune to Volt Switch and then be faster than the electric type. So that's why usually the grass types are, in my opinion, the better electric checks. You still want your ground type to not always make them click Volt Switch, but as a reliable switch in, I think the grass types are superior. And that's why electric type with fire coverage is great with them, because then the grass types are not reliable anymore, and they have to rely on the ground type to check. And if I get the 50-50s right with like HP Ice or double or whatever, they are in a world of hurt. And yeah, that's Mega Manectric. Like I said, I used him already. I am a big fan of Mega Manectric. He is very one-dimensional, to be fair. It's like one of the Megas which does one thing. He has like one moveset. And he's gonna do that every single time. He has Intimidate, which is nice, so I can Intimidate shuffle a little bit if like a mon is too strong. I can switch in, get Intimidate off. All this good stuff. Yeah, that's Mega Manectric. What else can I talk about Mega Manectric? Not really much. It's not very diverse mon, so it's gonna be fast, it's gonna be Volt Switching, it's gonna Intimidate, and that's Mega Manectric for you. And now, last but definitely not least, we of course gonna look at my tier 1 Uber I'm gonna get. Like I said, already when I drafted Landorus, I knew I was gonna get this one. And I can see why some people don't really see why this Pokemon is so great. Because it's, for one, it's Deoxys attack. Let's not talk about it too much. Deoxys attack, because for one, it's pretty good pursuit fodder. Like it dies to pursuit. Like look at the stats. Like look at the stats. It's insanely powerful, insanely fast, but it dies to everything. It's like worse than Salazzle in that scenario. Priority is very annoying for Deoxys and, of course, Pursuit, because Pursuit typing is a thing. But I used Deoxys attack in Uber's League before, and this thing is a monster. Even if he has priority, there's exactly 2 items you run on Deoxys attack. It doesn't matter what anyone else tells you, as we are not allowed to Z our Uber's mon, so it's not like I can put a Z Crystal on this mon. But there's exactly 2 items you run on Deoxys. It's either the Focus Sash, or it's the Life Orb. Life Orb if you just want the straight power, Focus Sash if you want to lift something. Because Life Orb is great, because if you look at this attack, special attack set, and the defense especially, you always run minus defense or special defense. There's no reason to run anything else, because these defenses, it doesn't matter if the nature is reducing them even more, they're low as piss. There's no way around that. This thing is dying to everything. So you can run mixed with this every single time, and pick just the 4 moves which are the greatest versus your opponent. And versus the priority thing, the good thing with Deoxys is it gets extreme speed. And extreme speed from a base 180 attack, potentially boosted with Life Orb, hurts a lot. So the mon which wants to go with priority versus Deoxys attack needs still to be bulky enough to take this hit. And a lot of the times they can't, because extreme speed is the fastest priority there is, bar and fake out. And it's gonna out-prioritize everything, especially with the speed. Like even if your opponent has an extreme speed user as well, like a Dragonite is slower than Deoxys, so my extreme speed is going first. And other than that, of course, insane coverage. It has Psycho Boost, which is like its main special attack. Like even if you're physical variant, you usually always run Psycho Boost still, because then you get a strong attack off, get your -2 drop, and you don't care because you still got all your physical attacks. But then it goes in. Like I said, just look at the moveset. I'm not a fan of just going on to Showdown and listing all the moves it gets, which some people do for draft analyses. I can just tell you, this thing has a move for everything. And yeah, it's insanely strong. Sadly, insanely weak as well. It gives me another Rocker and Spiker potentially as well. case I want to go hyper offensive, but I have to say most of the times it's probably going to be not worth to just use Deoxys as a hazard setter, just because on how insanely strong it is. Like, if you compare the damage you can do with hazards to the damage this mon can just do by clicking attacks, usually the attacks are doing more damage to the opponent's team. But of course it's still an option, and depending on the matchup it might be more useful, but most of the times this thing is going to be my late game sweeper of just XC speed and free coverage, Psycho Boost, and then 2 coverage moves, or more special moves depending on how much priority the opponent has, and depending on what Pursuit Trapper the opponent potentially has. But yeah, this Deoxys attack, I was looking forward to getting that very early. Of course, like I said, stuff like Marshadow, Yveltal, I would have wanted more, but being 14th out of 16th, there's no way I was getting those. But yeah, this is now my full team. Kyurem Black, Jirachi, Azumarill, Tangrowth, Conkeldurr, Landorus, Mandibuzz, Salazzle, LYCANROC, Manectric, Mega Manectric that is, and Deoxys attack. Now the last thing we have to do is choose our Z captains. And the Z captain rule we have this time is we can choose 2 Z move captains, barring ones from tier 2 and tier 1. Barring some exceptions, like for example Landorus T or Tapu Koko, Celesteela, they all were in tier 2, and you can still pick them as your Z-mons. But yeah, all the like Ubers mons, like I couldn't pick Landorus or Deoxys. That's like the only thing I'm affected by. So I can choose 2 out of the other 3. So, what are good Z-move users on my team? For one, we got Kyurem Black. We already know Kyurem Black should have probably been my Z-captain last time, but this time it could be an option. Then we got Jirachi with the utility and the Z-crystal, which would weaken knockoffs with it, is very nice as well. Azumarill is a nice option as well with the Z Belly Drum variant. That's probably the only thing it gets. And other 2 things which might be nice are, for example, Salazzle, but more than that, probably LYCANROC, because it got a signature Z move as well, which is super strong. Splintered Stone Shards. So mainly I was looking at 4 mons with LYCANROC, Azumarill, Jirachi, and Kyurem Black. One thing I decided very early on, Kyurem Black is going to be one of them, and since there's no restrictions, I could now think, okay, what else do I want? Do I want the setup threat with Azumarill? Do I want the signature Z move with LYCANROC? Or do I want the utility and variety with Jirachi? In the end, I decided to go with the utility and variety with Jirachi because I already got the super strong Z-move user in Kyurem Black, which most of the time is going to be the same one. It's going to be Z Freeze Shock because it's like it's a kill button. You click it, you kill something. And so I want to have something else on the other side, so LYCANROC was out of the picture, and then Azumarill is just very one-dimensional. And I already have a kind of one-dimensional Z-move in Kyurem. Of course, it gets other moves, which you can see as well. But Z Free Shock is usually always the best option. So I want to have a Z-move user with more utility and more options, where you never know what exactly the Z-move is going to be in Jirachi. And yeah, so I picked that. So these 2 are my Z-captains. So this is now the full team of the Borussia Donphan for the upcoming GBA seasons. Of course, let me know what you think of the team in the comments. What is the weakness? What is strong? Are you a fan of my tactic of going for the Ubers late? Are you convinced now that is how you're gonna draft next time as well? Either way, if you like this video, leave a like, comment, subscribe. If you're excited for the GBA, leave another like and subscribe again. But that's all for this video. Hit me up on Facebook, all the links in the description, and yeah, I will see you another time. Ciao.